Let's move on now to the Indianapolis Colts and our final 2023 offseason review. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring the bell to get notified when we create new Colts content. This is the last of the 2023 free agency overviews before we start to transition to our 2023 NFL season preview content. So if you'd like to see more content, be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when it is released. And Ryan, let's get into it. The Indianapolis Colts, it's a very interesting kind of situation that they're here. We hadn't really said it too much about this team. We'd had about other teams, but kind of feeling like they're in a full rebuild mode now. They get their franchise quarterback in Anthony Richardson, and it hadn't really dawned on me too much until I kind of started to review this and see the pieces they had kind of moved on from. Like they didn't re-sign Bobby Okereke. They traded Stephon Gilmore as well. Mm-hmm. They've brought in younger wide receivers as well, such as Josh Downs coming in the draft. And there was another person I believe they also traded, didn't they?
Isaiah McKenzie, and then they traded for Isaiah McKenzie.
And then it was Bobby Okereke, and that was one that I already said. So, but it definitely seems like they are kind of retooling. It's kind of doing like one of those pseudo rebuilds. Like let's see how good we can get before then we officially blow it up and build around Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and I think you look at what they did in the draft. And they had a really solid draft. To me, they were right up there with the Eagles, who had probably the consensus best draft, right? And I think a lot of their draft class is going to be built off of if Anthony Richardson can be successful or not. And I think Shane Steichen is the guy to do it. Moving on from Frank Reich, he clearly lost that locker room in 2022. Shane Steichen probably created one of the most unique and effective offenses we've seen to date in Philadelphia last season. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do with an athlete like Anthony Richardson. But like you said, I think it's going to take time. Anthony Richardson is a huge project. He doesn't necessarily have the mechanics to be successful at the NFL level throwing the ball yet. So you're going to have to rebuild that from the ground up, right? Actually mentally, I think processes the game pretty well. But
that's what's so crazy about his tape is like he'll have some. You watch some of his tapes and there's a blitz coming in, and the offensive line's breaking down. He's able to evade it, and at the same time, still roll out of the pocket while with his eyes downfield, and then just throw an amazing pass. And then there's some where it almost seems like he just gets bored, like the protection's too good, and he's just waiting for someone to get open, and then just like flat foot throws it. So it's one of those weird. It's just it does seem like it's just a it just kind of like 30, and I think that's one thing. Where he's only had one full season as a starter in college. We all can see the freakish athletic ability, and we want this guy to be successful. So that to me it's just going to take time, and it's interesting too because like one of their free agency signings that pops up to me immediately is the signing of Gardner Minshew, who we've seen a lot of teams do this now this past couple of years. Is they get a veteran quarterback, kind of a journeyman who is obviously good enough to start, has some talent there, potentially get game manage some wins, while your young quarterback gets some reps. But then, like the most recent one, the Steelers, that did not work out that well, and then they're like, hey, it's just better to put this guy in and have him develop on the fly. And there was a lot of success with Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. And I'm almost wondering if the Colts just kind of go that route and be like, hey, we're probably not going to make the playoffs anyways. So it's like, let's just start in week one, and Minshew's there to be a capable backup in case if something goes bad, or if he throws 4 picks in the first quarter and be like, okay, let's not like ruin this guy's confidence too much. Let's go see if we can salvage something here, get good reps within the offense so the rest of the team can kind of keep improving, and then this kid can keep growing as well. So it's going to be a very unique situation that it's going to be fun to play out or watch how it plays out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's going to be very exciting to see. Let's go ahead and get into their roster now, starting with their offense. So the major thing that actually kind of jumps out at me, they made a lot of picks and a lot of additions on offense, but right now the depth chart, none of them are really starters. I eventually think Josh Downs will take over for Isaiah McKenzie as the starting slot receiver.
Yeah.
However, right now on the depth chart, Isaiah McKenzie is there. Josh Downs to me is a much better route runner and a lot less of a gadget player than Isaiah McKenzie. Whereas Isaiah McKenzie's the guy you bring on jet sweeps and get him the ball and screens. And not that Josh Downs isn't that guy.
Yeah.
Isaiah McKenzie is more of that, whereas Josh Downs is much more of a developed downfield route runner, and he's a separator. So
yeah,
that'll be.
I personally think that Josh Downs is already the starting slot receiver person, kind of for that reason. So I mean, Isaiah McKenzie, and maybe it just wasn't the right system, maybe some other things that we didn't know about, but Isaiah McKenzie had every opportunity to be successful in the Buffalo Bills offense, and he was not. And it's now we expect him to come in and be better than what he was last year in this offense with a rookie quarterback. So I would think Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson, if you're trying to set him up for success, you need a more polished route runner who can create space on his own. I think Josh Downs can do that better already than Isaiah McKenzie, is my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But then you look at the offensive line, all the same. The only true addition is going to be Blake Freeland, who's the 4th-round pick in this year's draft. He is more of a left tackle. However, he's, I think, 6'7" or 6'8", and about 300 pounds. And that's very slender for that size. And so I think he might need a year to just kind of put some mass on. However, I think this offensive line should improve solely with this Shane Steichen offense being implemented. I think they'll really like the physicality and some of the schemes that he runs, and it'll kind of tailor to what this offensive line is already good at.
Yeah, it'll definitely take some time. I mean, we've seen this now with new offense, when new coaches implement their offense. It takes half a season to full season sometimes for it to get under their belt. But that's the biggest thing. If there's one thing that I'm very curious to see outside of Anthony Richardson's development is how does this offensive line do? Because you have arguably the best back in the league in Jonathan Taylor, who couldn't do anything last year. He was banged up, yes, but when he was on the field and playing, offensive line wasn't really giving him much. So was it Frank Reich's offense? Was it guys are getting a little bit too old, or just talent levels just going down? So that's going to be something that's interesting to watch in this offseason as well, outside of obviously the main rookie developments.
No, yeah. I think seeing this offensive line return to form will, at the very least, put them where they were 2 seasons ago, which was fringe playoff team. Yeah. Right. And even with Anthony Richardson under center, I think this offense could be potent enough to, potentially be contending for the division if this offensive line plays to their potential.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think that kind of wraps up the offense. They had a lot of other additions, but nothing too noteworthy. So let's go ahead. Let's move on now to the defense, where I think you look at this. They traded Stephon Gilmore. I think this was what really needed to be addressed in this offseason besides the quarterback position. And I really like a lot of the pieces that they got.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially too, I like, that's his name, Juju now?
Well, it's Julius Brents, but
no, I know. Yeah, I didn't know that. So Juju,
I think that's a nickname.
Juju Brents-Schuster. And I thought that was a good pick, a good selection there. Tall, long, lanky cornerback, and he had a good outing, at least from what I can remember from in that game against Quentin Johnston, who was picked in the first round. So a lot of potential there, especially then too, losing Stephon Gilmore, and they kind of replacing him with a long, lanky outside corner that will develop is, I think, going to be a good one. Another one as well is Adetomiwa Adebawore. I remember, I think the Falcons were picking. Did I do it right?
You did.
Nice. That's actually what's interesting too about that. I have a personal curiosity on how this pick's going to work out, because the Falcons traded up with the Colts in the second round to get Matthew Bergeron, left tackle, future left guard from Syracuse, and we gave them that pick or swap picks in the second round. Then gave them this pick as well. And as a Falcons fan, I was actually liked Adebawore. I can only do it once, but this was our pick. So I'll be very curious to kind of see how he does, because that was a pick I really like, and I thought it was a good pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. I think he's coming into a good situation because you got Forrest Buckner in front of him, Kwity Paye as well, and so then you got Sampson. Sampson. Oh, yeah, there it is. You have Sampson. You have Samsonite from San Francisco. This is your first time watching. I can't pronounce names if you're wondering what's going on. So subscribe and you'll get to see it more often. But and I think that's already a consistent front line in front of him. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to grow as well. They got Taven Byron in there as well. Taven Bryan from Cleveland that they signed in the offseason as well. So they have actually addressed that defensive front a good bit, even after losing Bobby Okereke. So I think that that's going to be a good, just solid front for them to kind of build around.
No, yeah, I agree. Another pick I really liked was Darius Rush in the 5th round from South Carolina. I had a early 3rd round grade on him. He had a really good showing at the Senior Bowl. He's 6'2", 200, and ran a 4.35. So all the athletic and physical tools are there, just refining his game and then kind of getting him up to speed at the NFL level with NFL style schemes, I think is going to be really important. But I think he's coming in. He's going to get a ton of PT pretty early. Couple that with Julius Brents, who's actually even bigger than him. And the Colts now have a lot of size at corner, which they had just traded away in Stephon Gilmore. And so I really like the young players that they brought in. I think they complement their current players really well. Yeah. And I'm excited to see this defense because I think that they could really do some damage this year.
Yeah. I agree. And that's one that it was just a weird misconception because they just really struggle with that offense with Frank Wright. And maybe some of it was also Matt Ryan, just Father Time had come. But the final segment that I really kind of want to talk about here with this is we talked about this with the Texans, and it was pretty black and white on like what would be a good season for them. Like 5 wins would be a good season. And obviously outside of the like Super Bowl or bust, the Colts are not there. What would be a good season in your mind for the Colts? Like I'm honestly thinking playoff contention. Like let's say Richardson starts every game. As long as they're playoff contenders, whether they make it or not, I think that's a successful season because there is a lot of optimism going into 2024, to say the least.
So my big thing with the Colts is I don't know. I think they're one of those teams where it's going to be hard to put a win-loss rating on their success. My thing is if they can come in and see clear improvement in Anthony Richardson, then that is a successful season.
Yeah.
Like if you see Anthony Richardson from week 1, barring he plays in week 1, from week 1 to week 17, and he is a clearly better player in week 17, I think that is a win for this season for the Indianapolis Colts. Because I think the rest of the roster will get better. It's just that quarterback position, I think, especially early on, he's going to make so many mistakes that they're going to struggle to really compete.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be giving up short fields. They're going to be stalling drives, right? And so it'll just be interesting to see that adjustment. I think Shane Steichen is as qualified as any to do. So I think that's going to be interesting in itself. I know kind of like, I don't want to play Switzerland on that and be like, I'm not going to give a real answer. But that to me, it's like if you can see solidified improvement in Anthony Richardson, then that's a successful season.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that non-answer. And so I think that it is a very unique season. Like there's so much hype. I feel like there's so much hype coming into the Colts season every year because it's like, oh, we got Phillip Rivers and then losing the first round. Oh, we got Carson Wentz. Should have made the playoffs. Oh, we got Matt Ryan. And I was one of that as well. I mean, as a Falcons fan, couldn't speak more highly of Matt Ryan. And that was the worst season of them all. So it's very interesting now to come in when you get a rookie quarterback. Like very rarely do like rookie quarterbacks then come in and then like turn a franchise around and make the playoffs like their first year. So I'm actually trying to think of when was the last time that happened. Like I know Matt Ryan did it. Did they make the playoffs their first year?
I think they did make their playoffs his rookie season.
Interesting. Okay. So I know Matt Ryan did it with his first year. But I mean, that was so long ago, and I feel like it's had to have happened in between then.
Yeah, I think Andrew Luck did. Oh, Mac Jones made the playoffs his rookie season.
Okay, Homer. Ryan's a Patriots fan. If you guys hadn't figured it out by that comment.
Well, that was the last time a rookie quarterback made the.
No, but like turn the team around. Do you think Mac Jones turned that team around? That's a
no.
separate conversation. That's a separate conversation.
Andrew Luck is the most recent one in my opinion.
That's probably the most recent.
That is a whole separate conversation. Let's go ahead and wrap up the Colts offseason recap there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and let us know what your favorite Colts offseason edition was. Was it a free agent? Was it a draftee? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.